This is a Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, and in this video, we are going to be talking about if you should buy one in 2024. So let me preface the video with this. So I have been a long time Sony Xperia user in terms of smartphones. I've strictly been using Sony Xperia for almost 7 years. And this is the first smartphone that is going to completely make me switch to the Samsung ecosystem. The S23 Ultra is the first smartphone that I approve of in terms of photography and videography, because my wife and I actually run a small media production business here in Hong Kong. We do photography and videography, so we are very particular when it comes to the camera or the picture quality that comes out of smartphones. And yes, I approve of the S23 Ultra. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of the S23 Ultra, viewing it from a photography and videography standpoint. So that's going to be the benchmark. We're not going to be talking about how good it looks, although it does look good, right? But then we're going to be focusing on the photo and video specs of this smartphone right here. So without being too technical, let's talk about the cameras really quick. So like any other smartphone that has been released for the past few years, this has a few lenses. So it has a wide angle, a standard, and a telephoto. So wide angle would mean that you're going to use this for landscapes. If you have something like a wide shot of a farm or a mountain, you're definitely going to use the wide angle. So the standard lens is going to perform way better than any other lens on this smartphone because of the bigger aperture. Basically means it can suck in more light. And the last lens over here is the telephoto. So if you have something that is far away from you, you can use this lens to make sure that you're getting the best quality instead of using the standard and just pinch zooming. So like what I said in the beginning of the video, this S23 Ultra really blew me away when it comes to image quality, especially both photos and videos. The color science is just amazing. It's like you're looking at an image that was taken from a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. I can't believe that such a small device like a smartphone can take such captivating images. So in terms of video quality, this can shoot up to 120 FPS in 1080, which is going to be your super slow motion. And in 4K, it can shoot up to 4K 60, which is quite impressive because some mirrorless cameras don't even have that. And in 8K, it can shoot up to 30 FPS, but I don't really use the 8K because the files are going to be massive. So point number 2 when it comes to pros for the S23 Ultra will be the battery life. So this phone right here has a 4,855 milliamp hour battery, which means you're not going to need a power bank anymore. I used to always carry a big power bank with my in my backpack, and it would just make my everyday carry a lot more heavier than it needs to be. But now, ever since I switched to this phone, I never needed to bring a power bank anymore. This thing can last the whole day and more. Sometimes I've already gamed a lot on it and watched a little bit of videos on like YouTube, Netflix and stuff. And then the next day, it will still have about 40% juice. And I'm super impressed when it comes to the endurance of this battery inside this thing. So the third pro that I love about the S23 Ultra is the crispy display. I'm not going to be so technical and just blast out some information to you guys, but the display is just nice and crispy. So as a professional photographer and videographer, it's very important for me that my smartphone has accurate, precise colors, because if I'm editing on the go, let's pretend I just imported some files into my cloud like Google Drive and I want to view it on my phone, I can just check if everything is intact and I can rest assured that the color that I'm seeing on my phone is the same as what I'm seeing on my laptop. So the fourth advantage that I've found with the S23 Ultra is its refresh rate, which is 120 Hertz, I think, which is a lot, especially if you're watching a lot of videos and playing games. So in layman's term, refresh rate basically means how well your device will handle animation. So let's pretend you're playing a high graphic game. It's not going to lag as much if you have a good refresh rate along with good memory or RAM inside the phone. It's going to be a crispy experience when it comes to gaming as well as watching videos. So the fifth thing that I love about the S23 Ultra has got to be the S Pen. So having the S Pen in the phone like this is just a very nice way to use it whenever you're editing, because if you remember, you have exposure bars, shadow, saturation. If you're using your fingers to adjust those sliders, it's not going to be as precise. But having an actual S Pen or a pen to maneuver those bars or those sliders is going to give you more precision and just better maneuverability when it comes to dragging those bars. So one more cool thing about the S Pen is that it has a button which you can use to actuate the shutter. So if you're taking a group shot and you want to put this on a tripod away from you, just pressing this button can just snap the photo for you, and you don't have to put it on timer. So reason number 6 why I love the S23 Ultra as a photographer is that it has the ability to shoot raw photos. So raw photos mean if you take the photo, you can basically edit it to your heart's content, because it's going to have a lot of information when you take the photo, but the only drawback is raw files will have bigger file sizes. And one more amazing thing is that this phone can edit RAW as well. So I had problems with my Sony a6700 editing the RAW files in my laptop using Lightroom, because at that time the a6700 was still a new camera, and then Lightroom wasn't able to support it yet. So to my amazement, I plugged in the files into this phone and I was able to edit the photos, and I was super impressed by that. So the 7th and last reason why I love the S23 Ultra is just its ability to be fast charged. So this phone right here can use 45-watt chargers, which means you can charge it from 0 to 100% in just an hour, and that is super convenient, especially if you're in a pinch and you don't have any power on you. So let's quickly talk about the cons, or the things that I don't like about the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and the first has got to be the size. So this thing is actually massive, especially if you compare it to a deck of cards. This thing is actually very big, so if you do not have massive hands, I can already see that it's going to be quite an effort to hold this in place like this. So the second con that I found is the lack of a headphone jack, which means if you have or own expensive headphones or earphones, you're not going to be able to plug it on this thing, which means you're going to be forced to use wireless headphones or earphones, because for some people, having a wired system is actually better because there is no latency or lag. So the third thing that I don't like about the S23 Ultra is the lack of a micro SD card slot. So I've only bought the 256 gigabyte storage capacity, so I can already see that for some people this will not be enough, especially if you came from older phones wherein you're used to having the ability to just expand the storage by hooking up a micro SD card on this. But I guess it's a good thing as well, because it will train you to just manage your files better and know when to back up and when not to back up. And the fourth and last thing that I don't like about the S23 Ultra pertains to the fast charging of this phone as well. So if once you get used to fast charging and you try to use a slow charger on this thing, it's just very frustrating, because I feel like it's draining faster than it's charging with a slow charger. So yeah, it's just a very nitpicky thing to mention, because I'm just used to using the fast charger on this thing, and using a slow charger just sucks. You know what I mean. So that is it for me, guys. This was just a quick video talking about what I love about the S23 Ultra. This is a fantastic phone. This has exceeded my expectations. I was actually almost on the fence to get the iPhone. I forgot what iPhone it was at that time. iPhone 14, I think. So I'm just super thankful that I chose the S23 Ultra and I didn't go for the iPhone, because as a Sony camera user, I'm very used to the colors that come out of my Sony cameras, right? And sometimes whenever I use this phone, it sometimes tricks my brain that I've actually snapped the photo with a smartphone and not my expensive Sony cameras. So I hope you guys found some insight from me talking about my experience with the S23 Ultra, and I hope it helps you decide whether or not to purchase this amazing smartphone. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.